Mike, 22-7 in the end here at Murrayfield. Frantic first half, but Ireland came into their own really then in the second half.
Yeah, to be honest, it was a phenomenal performance. It was very close at half-time, obviously. 8-7, was it? I think I'm correct. Yeah. Sorry, I must apologise from the outset. I accidentally bumped into Rory Best at the game, and I was watching the first and second half with him, and he likes a couple of pints. So we've had a great day, but it's been fantastic, and tense first half, and to lose that many players with injury and just shows the kind of resilience and belief in the team and embracing that mindset of being number one. I don't think a lot of teams would have dealt with that number of injuries to kind of key players. I think by the end of the game, 5 kind of pretty big injuries. Fingers crossed Gary Ringrose, I think around the 60th minute, getting that injury. Fingers crossed he's all right. Reports are that he's doing well, so that's great to hear. But if I'm being honest, I don't think Ireland perhaps were even at their best. But they just made it happen. And when you've got all those kind of factors coming in, and Cian Healy scrummaging at hooker. I remember sitting next to Rory in the first half or second half talking about it and saying, probably it's best to go to uncontested because Cian's never really scrummaged at hooker, but boy, he was, with that break foot out, he was phenomenal. Won us a number of penalties. I mean, imagine coming up against that front row with Cian Healy at hooker. It's scary, it's daunting. But yeah, I was saying to you before, I just think really we're embracing being number one, and it's great to see. It feels like kind of, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but leading into the World Cup, we've been here before, but the work they've been doing with Gary Keegan, I really feel that they're embracing being number one. They're happy to be number one, and they're playing like they are number one. And they just found a way today without being probably at their best.
They really did find a way. And you, in your day, you're saying that Rory Best was a bit of a bad influence.
Oh no, not back in the day, but he was definitely a bad influence on me today. Watching that first and second half, probably couldn't have bumped into anyone worse. But no, Bestie was really impressed, and especially Josh van der Fleer thrown into the line out, did an absolutely incredible job, and so many people put their hand up. Mac Hansen, I thought, had a cracking game. That take he took for the Jack Conan try on I think it was the 60th minute. We saw last year what he can do off the kickoff when he won the ball back against France. But Mac Hansen, he's been phenomenal. That try just before half time. We said it was close, but just Ireland just don't panic. There's that belief there. Stick to the structures, stick to the systems, and they'll find a way. And they're playing against a really good Scotland side at Murrayfield, and they edged away in that second half without being at their best, which I think is really exciting going forward. Obviously a number of injuries, but it's all teed up for St Patrick's Day next week against England.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We'll go back to the first half, and just that pressure that Scotland put on. Like in that first half, it was difficult for Ireland. At the very, very start of the half, it was Johnny who actually took the penalty advantage, and that I think was testament to the defence from Scotland. Yeah,
I think so. And if you look back to, I think the last time Ireland lost at Murrayfield was 2017, and that day, obviously, that was the famous bus being late incident. But that day, Ireland were very narrow in their defence. They got putting too many people into the breakdown, created space on the edges for Scotland. But today, throughout the game, I think to only concede one try against Scotland, Ireland are the best team in the Six Nations. This Six Nations line breaks and metres gained, and coming up against Scotland, who are the second best team. So to only concede one try against Scotland away at Murrayfield, with everything that's gone on, the 5 injuries, 3 injuries very early on, is testament to great line speed in defence, great width in defence, and they just suffocated Scotland.
And what was it that you were impressed with in Scotland in that first half, to only be a point in it going into half time? Not a lot of people would have thought that coming into this game. They were massive underdogs.
Yeah, well, I've been impressed with Scotland the whole Six Nations. They've been phenomenal. You saw the score yesterday, France versus England, and Scotland away to France the week before pushed them all the way, and arguably could have come away with the win after going down pretty heavily in those opening kind of 20 minutes when Gilchrist got sent off. But look, we can't underestimate Scotland are a very, very, very good side, and that's just testament to how easy we found it. The scoreline's pretty comfortable, and as I said, I don't think Ireland were at their best, but that's again testament to how good a place we are in at the moment. And look, it's all very positive leading into the World Cup, and look, hopefully it will continue.
At half-time, Andy spoke about what it was like in the dressing room. He just spoke to us, there at the post-match interviews, and how frantic it was. You know, there was no Caelan Doris, Dan Sheehan had gone off, Ian Henderson had gone off, and, you know, it was just sort of a panic moment to know, what are we going to do here? Johnny was even laughing, speaking about it. But they love these challenges. It's like they rise to these challenges and they come out the other end.
Yeah, well, look, I was reading an article before. You know, Stuart Lancaster at Leinster talks about it kind of embracing the chaos, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and you know, Andy Farrell's, you know, really embraced that in terms of, you know, he spoke about, if the bus is late, you know, we'll do the warm-up on the bus if we have to. There was an incident he related to when he was at Wigan, where they were so late, I think an hour late or something, and you know, they're playing a really good lead side, but they went on to win it, you know, turning up literally at the point of kick-off. So nothing gets in the way, by all accounts. Speaking to the lads, any kind of setbacks that come up, whether it's in training, whether it's in camp, whether it's on match day, he embraces it. You look at that first game against Wales at the Millennium Stadium, there was no kind of concern about the you know, shutting the roof. He was fully for shutting the roof. There was no argument. He was like, shut the roof, that's fine. And you know, anything that comes up, I think he just embraces, and that kind of confidence or that belief. It's not an arrogance. He's a very humble guy, but I think that kind of belief and mindset, it's that ripple effect. The work they're doing with that Gary Keegan's obviously paying dividends, and you know, mentally and physically, they're just in a very, really good place. And the strength and depth, I mean, that is just incredible. I remember Jack Conan scored that try on the 60th minute, and I was looking down, and Robbie Henshaw's warming up. And you look at the guys that come back today. Tyg Furlong hasn't played, I think, since November or December with a calf injury. How easy he made it look to come back. That's very difficult to do, especially for a front five forward to come back in and have that sort of impact, not being match fit. Jameson Gibson Park back on the bench, Conor Murray doing fantastic, and great to see Robbie back again as well, and Johnny Sexton was back in there, and you know, we're only, if you look at who we're missing, it's only really, I suppose, Finlay Bealham, David Kilcoyne and Tyg Burns. So it's just that strength and depth where we struggled in the past. Every position you look at it's pretty incredible. You know, for me, having retired in 2017, I think, you know, Jamie Heaslip retires. Who's going to replace Jamie Heaslip? Caelan Doris, Max Deegan. You know, the list is just endless. Jack Conan. Same at number 7. Sean O'Brien returns. Jack Van der Fleer, World Player of the Year. Rob Kearney retires. Hugo Keenan comes in. Jordan Lama. It's just scary. The conveyor belt of talent and depth we've built up, the mindset we're building up, and look, it's all looking very positive, leading into the final game and towards the World Cup.
Yeah, on the brink of a Grand Slam against England in the Aviva, something that has never been done before at home in Dublin. You know, it's a massive occasion, but there is these injury concerns. I think Gary Ringrose in particular coming off on the stretcher. Really not nice scenes to see that. It's never nice to lose players, but in particular in that way.
Yeah, exactly. It was nasty. I think he caught Blair Kinghorn's hip, and it did look nasty. But by all accounts, he's up and about, and you know, great to hear that. Gary, unlucky last week in Italy. I think his family travelled over to see his 50th cap, and he pulled out with the calf strain. So, but look, what we've seen is, we mentioned it there before, that strength and depth. You know, there are going to be some injuries. When you go to a World Cup, there's going to be 3 or 4 people missing, and we saw that in 2015. We saw that in 2019. The fact we've got to this stage, not losing a game, playing incredible rugby. Look at Finlay Bealham, not involved today, injured, but you know, he's stepped up. He's performed. Hopefully Ireland win the Grand Slam next week, and you know, Finlay Bealham probably won't be on the pitch receiving the kind of the accolades, but he's had a phenomenal kind of performance, and you know, really that strength and depth really is what excites me. That yes, we've picked up injuries today, a number 4 or 5, but we've got a few coming back. Some people won't feature, but the confidence we've got within this squad, 2, 3, some positions even 4 quality players who can step in and do the same job.
Andy has spoke about that time and time again, about having that happy environment, that the players that are on the fringes or, you know, are there around the squad, that, you know, they're pulling for the whole team. And I often wondered, how do you keep that happy environment? You know, players that are there want to start. I'm sure from experience, you know, being in the Ireland team, like, there's times where there's such disappointment, you want to be out there and you're not. but it feels like he has this team like pulling for each other, like whoever's out there is the person to be out there and you be ready to come in. How do you get that environment?
I think because of what, I suppose what Andy Farrell, well, first of all, the foundations that Joe Schmidt's left behind. Incredible coach. Let's not forget the incredible things he created for Ireland. The foundations were there, but Andy Farrell, he's taken it on. And it took a while to take it on because we were thinking, when he first came in, we weren't scoring the tries. It wasn't happening, but it takes time. And look where we are now. It's really exciting. I think Paul O'Connell coming into the coaching ticket has been massive as well. People kind of maybe don't think about how much of an impact that's been, but his attention to detail, his clarity around kind of the set piece, and brought that kind of nastiness, that edge, that aggressive, dynamic breakdown where we're getting the quick rucks. I'd say that's down to Paulie, and that's great. But Andy Farrell, he's been there, he's done it, he's achieved the highest accolades. He's tough as they come, and the players know that, they respect that, they listen to him when he speaks. People just want to follow him into the trenches.
Having Johnny Sexton out there today, having him back in action, I think it was crucial, just his leadership that he brings, and that he's level Ronan O'Gara now on the top point scorers of the Six Nations. With his 7 points today, he'll have to look to the game.
Level, is it?
It's level at the minute, yeah. He said that Ronan O'Gara is going to want to retire him now after this game. Yeah, so it's a massive achievement for him, but hopefully he's going to take the record now against England next weekend.
Yeah, two absolute legends of Irish rugby, phenomenal. But yeah, Johnny, great to get him back in. Look, you can't speak highly enough of him. His mental resilience, how he keeps battling on, kicking conversions from the touchline, just phenomenal. And had an ice pack on his knee towards kind of at the end of the game. I'm sure that's nothing too serious, and he'll be fine for next week. But we keep talking about the strength and depth. Ross Byrne, he's been phenomenal. Performed against Italy last week, autumn Nations games, won that game with a kick from the touchline against Australia. I think players that have come in, and there's that pressure to be the backup to Johnny Sexton, and I think players think they've got to do something incredible, like have that X factor. And the reality is, you just got to be cool, calm, collected, do what Johnny does. Kick the corners, take the pressure off, put them in the right areas of the field, be an influence. And I've played with Ross Byrne a long time ago, obviously, but even back then, he does have that coolness, that calmness, and that kind of ripple effect into the rest of the team that gives everyone else confidence.
Yeah, his journey's been remarkable. Like, if we're to be real about it, he was 5th and 6th choice to Johnny Sexton a few years ago, and now he's 2nd choice, and every time he comes on, he slots right in there and makes such an impact. It's been such a rise and an incredible journey for him. Yeah,
exactly. And look, going back to Joe Schmidt, he used to talk about, maybe we didn't have that strength and depth when Joe was there, but that was something Joe started to build towards, and we've got that strength and depth now. But Joe always used to speak about being a cog in the wheel. When you get your opportunity through injury or whatever it is, when you come in, you've got to slot in, and that's what Ross Byrne does. He doesn't kind of look to come in and do anything absolutely flash. He's just, he is just cool, calm, collected. I saw him come on a few weeks back when Leinster played Ospreys away, and Leinster was struggling, and Ross Byrne came on, completely steered the ship, controlled the ship, kicked the corners, put them in the right areas of the field, and like I said, he is like he's not Johnny, but he's like Johnny, and it's great to see him step up, and I think he's deserved it. That kind of resilience. He's had setbacks, he's kept fighting, he's kept working hard, and it's brilliant to see him back.